Conspiracy theories have long fascinated and alarmed the public with their claims of secretive plots, cover-ups, and hidden agendas. While many conspiracy theories are dismissed as baseless or fantastical, there have been instances where conspiracies were later proven to have some basis in truth. This exploration delves into 10 disturbing conspiracy theories that, over time, were substantiated by evidence, official disclosures, or historical revelations. These cases demonstrate how skepticism and scrutiny can sometimes uncover unsettling truths hidden beneath layers of secrecy and misinformation. 1. Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was a clandestine program initiated by the CIA in the 1950s with the goal of influencing media outlets and journalists both domestically and internationally. The operation aimed to manipulate public opinion and disseminate propaganda during the Cold War era. CIA agents reportedly infiltrated news organizations, planted false stories, and exerted editorial control to promote narratives favorable to U.S. interests and policies. For decades, the existence of Operation Mockingbird was dismissed as a conspiracy theory. However, in 1975, the Church Committee, a U.S. Senate committee tasked with investigating intelligence agency abuses, revealed significant details about the operation. The committee's findings confirmed that the CIA had indeed engaged in covert media manipulation, raising concerns about the implications for press freedom and public trust in journalism. 2. Tuskegee Syphilis Study. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study, conducted by the U.S. Public Health Service, PHS, from 1932 to 1972, is one of the most infamous examples of unethical medical research in history. The study targeted African American men in rural Alabama, many of whom were impoverished sharecroppers. The participants were not informed that they had syphilis and were denied treatment, even after penicillin became widely available as a cure in the 1940s. Initially framed as a study on the natural progression of untreated syphilis, the true purpose of the study was to observe the disease's long-term effects. The unethical nature of the study, which violated basic medical ethics and human rights, was exposed by a whistleblower in 1972. Public outrage led to congressional hearings and reforms in research ethics, highlighting the vulnerability of marginalized communities to exploitation in medical research. 3. Operation Northwoods. Operation Northwoods was a proposed false flag operation devised by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff in 1962. The plan involved staging terrorist attacks on American soil and blaming them on Cuba to justify a military intervention against the communist regime of Fidel Castro. The proposed actions included hijacking planes, sinking ships, and orchestrating violent incidents in U.S. cities. Declassified documents revealed the shocking extent of the proposed operations, which were intended to manipulate public opinion and garner support for military action. While President John F. Kennedy ultimately rejected Operation Northwoods, the plan underscored the willingness of some within the U.S. government to consider extreme measures for geopolitical objectives. The revelation of Operation Northwoods fueled suspicions about government involvement in other false flag operations throughout history. 4. COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO, Counterintelligence Program, was a series of covert and often illegal FBI operations conducted from the 1950s to the 1970s. The program's primary aim was to surveil, infiltrate, discredit, and disrupt domestic political organizations deemed subversive or radical. Targeted groups included civil rights organizations, anti-war activists, feminist groups, and socialist and communist organizations. Under COINTELPRO, FBI agents engaged in a range of tactics, including infiltration, psychological warfare, disinformation campaigns, and harassment of activists and leaders. The program's existence and scope were largely unknown to the public until a group of activists burglarized an FBI office in Media, Pennsylvania, in 1971 and leaked documents to the press. The revelation sparked outrage and led to congressional investigations, exposing widespread abuses of power and violations of civil liberties. 5. Operation Paperclip. Operation Paperclip was a covert U.S. intelligence program launched after World War II to recruit German scientists, engineers, and technicians, including former Nazi Party members and SS officers, for employment in the United States. The goal was to harness German scientific expertise, particularly in aerospace and rocketry, to gain an advantage in the Cold War space race against the Soviet Union. While the U.S. government initially denied or downplayed the recruitment of former Nazis, declassified documents and historical research have since confirmed the existence and scope of Operation Paperclip. The program's controversial legacy raises ethical questions about the exploitation of wartime adversaries for technological and strategic gain, despite their involvement in atrocities during the war. 6. Gulf of Tonkin Incident. The Gulf of Tonkin incident, which occurred in August 1964, played a pivotal role in escalating U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. The incident involved reported attacks on U.S. naval vessels by North Vietnamese torpedo boats in the Gulf of Tonkin off the coast of Vietnam. In response to these alleged attacks, President Lyndon B. Johnson requested and received congressional authorization for military action against North Vietnam. However, subsequent investigations and declassified documents revealed inconsistencies and discrepancies in the official account of the Gulf of Tonkin incident. It became clear that the second attack, which served as a pretext for the Gulf of Tonkin resolution authorizing military escalation, may not have occurred as originally reported. The controversy surrounding the incident fueled suspicions of government deception and manipulation to justify military intervention. 7. MK-Ultra. MK-Ultra was a top-secret CIA program conducted from the 1950s to the early 1970s with the goal of developing mind control techniques and studying the effects of psychoactive drugs, such as LSD, on human subjects. The program involved experiments on unwitting individuals, including civilians, prisoners, and military personnel, to investigate methods of behavior modification and interrogation. Details about MK-Ultra remained classified until the 1970s when investigations by congressional committees, such as the Church Committee and the Rockefeller Commission, exposed the program's existence. The revelations shocked the public and raised profound ethical concerns about the abuse of human rights in the name of national security. MK-Ultra became synonymous with government overreach and the dangers of unchecked experimentation on human subjects. 8. NSA mass surveillance. The National Security Agency, NSA, has been involved in extensive surveillance activities aimed at intercepting communications and collecting data on a global scale. Revelations by whistleblower Edward Snowden in 2013 exposed the NSA's widespread surveillance programs, including the bulk collection of telephone metadata and internet communications through programs like PRISM. Snowden's disclosures confirmed long-standing suspicions about the extent of government surveillance and the erosion of privacy rights in the digital age. The revelation sparked international controversy, legal challenges, and debates over the balance between national security and civil liberties. Snowden's actions also ignited discussions about whistleblowing, government transparency, and the role of surveillance in modern society. 9. Iran-Contra affair. The Iran-Contra affair was a political scandal that surfaced in the mid-1980s during the Reagan administration. The scandal involved clandestine arms sales to Iran, despite an embargo, and the use of proceeds to fund Contra rebels in Nicaragua. The operation was carried out by members of the National Security Council, NSC, and CIA operatives without congressional approval or oversight. Revelations about the Iran-Contra affair emerged through investigative journalism and congressional hearings, revealing a complex web of covert operations, deception, and constitutional violations. The scandal tarnished the Reagan administration's reputation and raised serious questions about executive branch accountability, congressional oversight, and the limits of presidential power in foreign policy. 10. Watergate scandal. The Watergate scandal, which unfolded in the early 1970s during President Richard Nixon's administration, remains one of the most infamous political scandals in American history. The scandal began with a break-in at the Democratic National Committee, DNC, headquarters at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C., in 1972. Subsequent investigations uncovered a web of illegal activities orchestrated by Nixon's re-election campaign, including wiretapping, burglary, and attempts to cover up their involvement. The Watergate scandal ultimately led to Nixon's resignation in 1974 to avoid impeachment and removal from office. The investigations and hearings conducted by Congress, as well as the work of journalists, revealed the extent of political corruption, abuse of power, and obstruction of justice at the highest levels of government. Watergate underscored the importance of transparency, accountability, and the rule of law in a democratic society. Conclusion. The 10 disturbing conspiracy theories that turned out to be true offer sobering reminders of the complexities and darker realities of politics, intelligence operations, and societal norms. While skepticism and scrutiny are essential in evaluating conspiracy theories, history has shown that some conspiracies have indeed been validated by evidence, disclosures, and investigations. These cases highlight the importance of independent journalism, whistleblowers, and governmental oversight in holding institutions accountable and uncovering truths that may be inconvenient or uncomfortable. As we reflect on these revelations, we are reminded of the ongoing challenges in balancing national security, individual rights, and ethical standards in governance and society. Understanding these disturbing truths is crucial for fostering transparency, promoting informed discourse, and safeguarding democratic principles in an increasingly interconnected and complex world.